you guys are here already. I didn't realize what time it was. Well, here, let me take 1 second. I'm just tuning up this computer right now. It'll take me a second, then I'll be right with you. Here, hold on a second. Yeah, I think that'll work. There you go. Computer's all tuned up like a whistle. So let me get cleaned up, and then I'll come back for the class. Ah, good. There you are. Thought I might have lost you on that. That computer is running in tip-top shape. So it's all tuned up and ready to go. So today, this class is on how to tune up your own computer. Don't worry, you don't need any hammers or drills or any of that cool stuff unless you really want to use it. But it's a pretty easy process to tune up your computer and make it run like new. This is going to be a more philosophical class. We're going to talk about the steps and procedures you should take to tune up your computer. We're not going to go over a lot of specific software or tools. The reason is that these pieces of software and tools get upgraded and they change almost daily. So when you go to tune up your computer, you may use different software than I would use right now. And from time to time, if you tune up your computer in 6 months, you may use different software than you use this time, that type of deal. So you know this class is on how to tune up Windows computers. If you use Macs or Unix or Linux, you don't need to tune up your computer. It works fine. There's nothing that you can do to tune up your computer because it doesn't need tune up, only Windows. Wonderful, wonderful Windows needs to be tuned up. So we are going to, in this class, talk about how to tune up your Windows computer and make it run like new. Before we start, I want to go over 2 warnings with you. Remember, we're dealing with Microsoft Windows computers, and if you've ever worked with a Microsoft Windows computer, you probably know what's coming next. Now here's the thing. As soon as you start trying to fix or tune up anything on a Windows computer, you risk the chance of crashing it. It's just how it is. So if you start messing with the registry, if you start trying to clean things up, and you're a complete newbie, realize you may end up killing your computer. It's just a fact. The next thing is, and this goes along those lines, is if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know the consequences of what you're doing are going to be, then don't do it. So I'm going to go in and we're going to talk about deleting things called crapware. Well, if you're not sure, if you're not positive, then don't hit delete. Leave it as it is. It may not be great, but it won't kill your computer if you leave it there. If you do make a change, you may kill your computer. Now, the final thing I will say is if you know that you have a virus, if without a doubt you're getting a million pop-ups on your computer, instead of trying to tune up your computer, what you should really do is simply reinstall the entire computer. Pull your data, all your data off the computer, format the hard drive, and reinstall the operating system. If you already have a virus, it is very, very, very difficult to get an entrenched virus out of your computer once it's already there. So you can try, but I would suggest that if you have a virus, wipe your computer clean, or well, pull your data off, wipe your computer clean, and reinstall the operating system. So those are the warnings, and then now we'll go to the class. Now the first step in tuning up your computer is uninstalling crapware. What is crapware? Crapware is all the software that gets put on your computer, either before it comes to you from the manufacturer or that you download over time that you have absolutely no use for. So every time you download a free piece of software and then it comes with a special toolbar, or when you get the computer and you open it up and it has all that trialware on there, all of that is considered crapware. It has absolutely no use. All it is doing is taking up resources on your computer. So what you want to do is you want to uninstall any piece of software and any toolbar that you do not use. So things like Yahoo Toolbar, Google Toolbar, Alexia Toolbar, all those kinds of toolbars you want to get rid of off of your computer. And plus all those pieces of trial software and anything else that is on your computer that frankly you don't know why it's there. So what you do is you go into Control Panel, you go to Add Remove Programs, and then you uninstall anything that you don't need. Uninstall anything you don't need. I can't give you a list of what crapware is because what I consider crapware you may find useful. So I've had a lot of people ask me, what programs should I delete? The answer is the programs that you do not use are the ones that should be uninstalled. So remember, the program that I love may be your crap. The program that you love might be my crap. So go in, add remove programs, and uninstall any piece of software that you don't want on your computer. Special attention to things like toolbars, games, freeware games that you don't know anything about, shareware, all of that kind of stuff. Now that we've cleaned out all that crapware from your system, now we need to go in and we need to clean out all the startup programs. What are the startup programs? Well, Windows has a nasty habit of when it boots up, it also starts a whole lot of programs that you probably don't want to start with it. If you look at your desktop screen, if you sit down at your computer and you're looking at your screen, in the lower right hand corner, you'll see a lot of little icons down there. And some of them you know, and some of them you want to be there. But I bet you most of those little icons, you have no idea what they are. Well, those are programs that have started up when the computer started up. So although you don't use them, although you really don't know what they are, right now they're using your CPU power, your RAM, and your hard drive resources. So the best thing to do is get them to stop starting when your operating system starts up. This can be done two ways. One is there's a startup folder that contains links to all the programs that start up when your computer boots. This is normally sitting in, if you click on the button in the lower left hand corner of your screen, you go to Start, or that little circle now, then you go to Programs, then you go to Startup, and then within the startup folder there's a lot of little icons. All those icons point to programs that get started when your computer starts up. So if you don't want those programs to start up when your computer boots, simply right click and delete the little icons that are sitting in that folder. Don't worry, this doesn't damage the programs in any way. If you need to use these programs in the future, you can use them, no problem. This simply keeps them from starting up as soon as your computer starts up. So even some software that you do use, I would say try to clean out the startup folder as much as possible. Now also, the registry tells Windows to start up a number of programs when it's booting up. So you want to go into the registry and clean out those files. There'll be a little screenshot at the end of this on where to go for the registry keys. But within the registry, there are two places that tell the computer to start up certain programs. For the most part, you don't want any of these programs to start up. You don't want anything to start on your computer other than the operating system. The only two exceptions to this are if you have printer software. Don't delete the printer software from your startup routine. A lot of the printer software, for some reason, has to boot with the system. If you disable it, then the printer won't work and you end up having to reinstall the printer software. And also you don't want to, of course, stop your antivirus software. The antivirus software automatically starts with the computer because it's either sitting in that startup folder or within a registry key. So make sure you don't delete the icon for the antivirus either in the startup folder or the registry key. Now you can do all of this manually, or you can use a piece of software that'll go in and do this for you. We used something called CC Cleaner to clean out the startup folder and the startup registry keys. It works very well, and you don't have to have a lot of technical experience to do it. So now that you've cleaned up all the crapware and you've gotten rid of all those unnecessary startup files, the next thing you need to do is clean out your registry. The registry is the database in the computer that basically tells the operating system how to work, how to function. It says where all the programs are located, it says where things like profile paths and all kinds of really, really technical stuff that you're not going to understand. But that registry is what controls the entire computer. Now here's a weird thing with Microsoft. So this registry controls everything about the computer, but it has no inbuilt way to clean itself for some reason. When you uninstall programs and when you make changes to the operating system, Windows adds things to the registry, but it doesn't have any automatic way to delete or subtract anything from the registry. So a lot of times you will have a registry that becomes fragmented, especially after a few years. So all you want to do is you want to find a piece of software that'll defragment and clean out your registry. We of course use the program CC Cleaner that I talked about before. There's a whole lot of software out there, just use something reputable. So the next part of the process is clearing out and defragmenting your registry. You use a piece of software to do this, either freeware, maybe $20. We use CC Cleaner. Now that you've cleaned out all your crapware, you've cleaned out all your startup files, and you've cleaned up your registry, the next thing you need to do is run all of your updates. The first thing that you need to do is run Windows and Microsoft Update. What are these? Well, Microsoft, when it sells you an operating system or an office suite, the way I explain it is, imagine if Ford sold you a car and told you that they would get the passenger seat to you next week and the fuel tank to you next month, and well, the seat belts are coming at some point. That's kind of what Microsoft does with its software. It sells the software to you, but it already has problems that need to be fixed. They already know about it, but for some reason they don't fix it before they ship it. So they send a faulty product, and then they create updates for the product as they find solutions to them. So if you don't update your computer, you may have a lot of problems on your computer that you don't realize. So on your computer, you just need to go to Windows Update, and when the update screen comes up, in the right hand corner there may be something that says, do you want to upgrade to Microsoft Update? And you want to click and say yes to that, because Windows Update only updates the operating system. Microsoft Update updates the operating system and all Microsoft products. So make sure to install that Microsoft Update as the first thing you do when you start updating your computer. Now that your Windows and Microsoft updates are done, the next thing that you need to do is update all the other little pieces of software that you use on any regular basis. So make sure that you update Firefox if you use Firefox. Make sure you update your Adobe Acrobat Reader, your PDF reader, and also Adobe Flash. A lot of hackers have been able to get into computers through Flash. Did you realize that? I hadn't realized it. But yes, old versions of Flash can be infiltrated by hackers. Make sure you update Java. There are a lot of viruses that attack old installations of Java, so make sure that you have the highest level of Java that's out there at the moment. And then if you use another Office suite other than Microsoft Office, make sure you update that. So if you use OpenOffice, make sure you're using the highest level of OpenOffice, or if you're using WordPerfect, make sure that you install the latest service packs. So make sure that all the programs that you use on any basis get updated. Now that all your updates are done, the next thing you need to do is make sure that you have good antivirus software on your computer. So if you already have a piece of antivirus software on your computer, please make sure that it's up to date. When you buy a piece of software, antivirus software, it only lasts for 1 year. You buy a 1-year subscription. So if you installed McAfee 5 years ago, there's a good chance it doesn't work anymore. So every piece of software has a different way of going in and looking, but go in and make sure that your subscription hasn't expired. If it hasn't expired and it's working well, then you're good to go. Go on to the next step. If it has expired, then what you need to decide to do is whether you're going to renew the current piece of software that you have, or if you're going to get another piece of antivirus software. Now, if you go with a different manufacturer of software, if you're going from McAfee to Norton, the thing I'll tell you is to make sure that you uninstall the first piece of antivirus before you install the new antivirus. If you put 2 types of antivirus on the same computer, they sometimes think that the other piece of antivirus software is a virus, and you can end up killing your computer. So I've seen where McAfee was installed, Norton was installed, they both thought that the other one was a virus, and it shredded the operating system of the computer that it was on. So if you're going to a new version or a new type of antivirus software, make sure that the old one gets uninstalled. Personally, I like McAfee. There are a lot of options out there. If you're trying to go for free, I don't suggest it. I think you get what you pay for. But if you are going for free, there's 2 companies that you should look at, either AVG or Avast. They are the best of the free antivirus software manufacturers. So if you're going to go with a free antivirus solution, go with them. Don't go with any of the others. All the others are horrible. So AVG or Avast if you're going to go for free. I would suggest McAfee if you're going to pay any money. So now that your antivirus is up to date, the next thing you're going to need to do is put in something called anti-malware software. What is malware? Well, malware is probably what you've heard of as spyware. Spyware is software that gets onto your computer and then tries to grab information about you and send it to somebody else. So it tries to grab credit card information, it tries to grab usernames and passwords, and it takes all of that and then it gives it to some hacker somewhere. So there's a lot of free solutions for anti-malware software out there. From what I've seen, the free versions are as good and many times better than the paid-for versions. I don't know why. Antivirus software, you really want to buy the paid-for versions. You want to buy your antivirus software. Anti-malware software, for some reason the free stuff is many times better than the stuff that you pay money for. We always use Microsoft Defender. You can Google it, Microsoft Defender, and it's a free download from Microsoft that works very well. There's also Spybot and Adware, but for the most part, Microsoft Defender will do everything you need. So download it, install it, and then run a scan to make sure that you don't have any malware sitting on your computer. So now that we've dealt with your virus problems and your malware problems, we need to deal with your fragmented hard drive. What do I mean by a fragmented hard drive? Well, when your computer writes data to your hard drive, it kind of does it willy-nilly. It puts it all over the hard drive in different places, and then it deletes data, writes more data, then deletes some data over here, then writes some data here. So your hard drive has data spread all over it. So imagine, like anything else, if all your data is in this chaotic state in different places, it can take the operating system longer to find it. So that's why you want to defragment your hard drive. What defragmenting does is it takes all these fragments, all these clusters of data that are all over your hard drive, and it puts it in a nice line on your hard drive. So instead of your data being all over the place, it's in one nice little chunk so that the operating system can read it a lot faster. Now there is software built into Microsoft Windows to defragment your hard drive, but I found that that software is really bad. It doesn't work very well. So we use something called Defraggler. You can just go to www.defraggler.com and download it, and it will defragment your hard drive very quickly, easily, painlessly. So that's what you need to do next, is defragment your hard drive. Now the final thing that you need to do if you have a desktop computer is you need to open it up, and then you need to clean out all the dirt that is in here. See, there's a lot of fans and other little parts that move inside your computer, and after a year or 2 years or 5 years, a lot of dirt and crap collects inside your computer. So go to the store, buy one of those little cans of air, crack open your computer, and then spray it out and make sure it's clean in here. Because if those fans don't work properly, then the computer heats up, things shut down, things break, and it's bad. So the final part of tuning up your computer is cracking it open and make sure that it's clean. Clean as a whistle. So you should spray it out, and when you're done, it should look like the day you bought it. If there's dirt like this one has in it, that's not a good thing. So that was the overview on how to tune up your computer. So you want to make sure that you uninstall all of your crapware that's on your computer, that you get rid of all of those startup programs that you don't want to start when your computer starts up, that you update all of your software, make sure Windows is up to date, make sure Microsoft Office is up to date, make sure Adobe Flash and Adobe Reader and anything else you use is up to date. Make sure that you have antivirus software and that its subscription hasn't expired. Make sure you install a piece of anti-spyware or anti-malware software on your computer so that you don't have spyware grabbing all of your information. Make sure that you then clean out your computer for all the dust and the gunk that gets in there, because that can shut down your computer and cause problems if you don't clean it out every once in a while. Now the last thing to remember is once you do all of these things, make sure that you have enough RAM for your computer to work properly. Windows XP should have at least 1 gig of RAM at this point. Windows Vista and Windows 7 should both have 2 gigs of RAM in the computer to function properly. If you don't have this much RAM in your computer, you need to go out and try to upgrade it. Because if you don't have this much RAM, the computer is never really going to work that well. So these are all the steps on how to clean up your computer. I hope to help you out. So now you've gone through all the steps, and your computer should be running well. But for some reason you're looking at it and you're saying, this doesn't seem to run like new. I remember new is faster than this. Well, here's one of the problems that you're going to run into is when all the updates come out for Windows, for Office, for Flash, all of those programs all of a sudden start needing more resources. To illustrate this, Windows XP, when it first came out, it only needed 64 megs of RAM to run. And under 64 megs of RAM, the original Windows XP would run very well. If you gave it 128, it would fly. Well, then Service Pack 1 came out. Well, then you needed 128 megs of RAM, so you really needed 256 for it to run well. And then Service Pack 2 came out, and you had to have at least 256 megs of RAM. And so you really needed 512. And then Service Pack 3 came out, and then, well, you really need a gig of RAM for Windows XP to run well. And this is something that you're going to have to realize and think about, is all these fancy new websites that are coming out, they all of a sudden need a lot of resources from your computer. Back in the old days when all you did was look at a newspaper online, that didn't require any resources from your computer at all. But now all these videos and flash files and weird Java games, they need a lot of processing power from your computer. So something to think about. If you go through the whole tune-up process, but your computer still isn't running as fast as you would like, it's probably time to buy a new computer. That's just how it is. Because although you don't realize it, a lot of the things that you take for granted, a lot of the websites, a lot of the software may need more resources than your computer has. So no matter what kind of tune-up you do on your computer, it may never run well again. So just something to think about from the real world. If you do all the tune-ups on your computer and it's still not running very fast, well, then the tune-up's not enough. It's time to go out to Best Buy and get yourself a new computer.